Hi there, it's Kute here, giving you a shout out from Los Angeles, California today. You know, I was thinking in our culture today, there is so much expectation and pressure from the media. The media says, you know, you got to look like this, you got to be like this, you got to have this body, you should have this degree, you have this education, you have to go to university. We're constantly being sold and bombarded a set of beliefs, a set of ideas, a pressurized hypnosis of who we should be. And you got to be, you know, then we read the spiritual books. God forbid we read some of the amazing spiritual books out there. It's like, you got to fit these 12 keys. This is what enlightenment looks like. This is what you have to be like. And we're often conditioned to fit ourselves into a certain corset of personality. We're often conditioned to fit ourselves into some idealized notion of what we think we should be in order to be free, transformed, enlightened, happy, or normal. Because God forbid, you know, we step outside of that norm, then you might be a little crazy. But, you know, often trying to fit yourself into a normal version of who people, society, the expectations of your parents, of your university, of your culture, to often fit yourself into that is death. It's a death of your authentic spirit. It's a death of who you truly are. It's a death of your aliveness. And I see so many people trying to fit themselves into some idealized version of themselves that they think they should be, that it ends up choking us, choking our soul's expression, choking your aliveness, choking your creativity, which often, sadly, causes depression, causes anxiety, causes suppression, causes, you know, stagnation, procrastination, and leads to so much suffering within ourselves. We're often trying to be something, trying to fit something, trying to do something that we're not, with all the pressures that we put on ourselves and everyone else. You know, be the Dalai Lama, be Mother Teresa, be, you know, be the Buddha, be, you know, be some great saint. I invite you today to be yourself, to drop. What would happen if you dropped all the shoulds, dropped all the concepts, the ideal concepts and shoulds of who you thought you should be based on any idea, any teaching, anything? Because it often sets up a pattern when we have this idealized notion of, when I'm this, then I'll be okay. When I achieve this, then I'll be fine. When I achieve my degree from university, when I get married, what is the when I for you? That you might be holding onto this notion that you need to achieve, be attained in order to be okay. Because we're constantly being sold this idea that who you are is not fundamentally okay. But if you simply, you know, drink this drink because so-and-so does, then you'll be okay. We've been hoodwinked, we've been lied to, we've been hypnotized and seduced to disconnect from who we truly are. The source of our true inspiration. We've been conditioned and constantly being bombarded. Right now we live in a world today where there are so many social media stations and channels and this book and that and this and so many different things, that with 500 TV stations, thousands of radio channels on the internet, and then the internet. There's so much stuff out there that if we're not aware, we end up disconnecting from who we are, and as a result of disconnecting from our feeling, from our authentic truth, we end up feeling depressed. We end up it ends up being easy for society, for the mall of life, for the media, for the forces outside to sell you a bunch of concepts and ideas. What would happen if you dropped all the notions about who you should be? You let it all go. What if you didn't need to be anything other than what you truly were? What if you didn't need to be fixed? Often, because we have this notion of who we think we should be, and when we're not that version of ourselves that we've adopted, what's sad is we often very harsh on ourselves. We often beat ourselves up. We often judge ourselves. We often bring out the symbolic baseball bat and we just bash ourselves all day long with criticism, with judgment, with hatred. You know, There's so much talk about love each other, love the world, love your neighbor, love the children, love the planet, save the children in India and save the whales. But what about starting with yourself? Often in an effort to perfect ourselves, in an effort to improve. The way we often go about healing ourselves and trying to get ourselves to transform by forcing ourselves into a certain way of being and pressurized sort of expectation is not necessarily authentic, is not necessarily who we truly are. So what if the way you might be going about trying to transform yourself or heal yourself in and of itself is causing more suffering? Because here's what I found. Beating yourself up and judging yourself. Beating yourself up and judging yourself to try and get yourself to be better, to be more enlightened. All that does is perpetuate the very behavior that you're trying to shift. All that does is create more wounds, more suffering inside of your being, inside of your nervous system. All it does is reinforce the very pattern, addiction, thing that you're trying to change within yourself. That perhaps it's not just about changing something, but it's about the process of how you change something that has an impact on the thing itself. So consider this. Your relationship with yourself is as important as the thing itself. Consider this, that the issue that you might be judging or dealing with in your life about yourself is not simply the issue. That the real issue is how you relate with yourself as you deal with the issue. And if you're able to create a certain space, a certain compassion, a certain openness, a way of holding yourself through the issue, even while the issue's there, that you don't need to heal the issue or clear the issue or get rid of the issue or exterminate that part of yourself in order to be okay, in order to be lovable, but that as you are right now, you are lovable just because. And often, what I found working with clients from all walks of life is that those very patterns, those very behaviors that we hate the most, those very things about yourself that you judge the most, dislike the most, that often create the self-hatred, that often create us judging that very thing, is the very thing that needs the most loving. Not only that, that very pattern, that very behavior that we dislike and we judge, often underlying that thing has a positive intention. That often there's a positive intention driving that negative behavior. But because we only see the detrimental negative behavior, we often beat ourselves up constantly, which just creates a cycle of suffering and perpetuates the habit. So see what the positive intention is of that behavior. Maybe that addiction, maybe that way of being, the procrastination, the anger, maybe that way of being is actually trying to get you something positive, like a sense of safety or a sense of validation and love, or underneath that to a deeper level, a sense of feeling whole and complete and loved. But the way, the method it's going about it, the method that part of you is trying to get that need met, often that need which wasn't met as a child, is still trying to get met through this tweaked behavior. If you're able to see the intention and have the compassion and meet yourself with love and meet yourself with compassion, it creates a certain space. And in that space, a healing happens, a transformation happens. Remember, the issue by itself is not just the issue. The issue is how you relate with yourself and how you love yourself through that issue that often creates the healing. I've often heard it said that true healing is applying love to the part of you that hurts. True healing is applying love to the very part of you that hurts, but we often judge it, which creates more hurt and more pain, and the behavior continues. But what if you're not able to love yourself, you might say, but what if I'm not able to love this part? Can you love the fact that you can't love that part in the moment? Can you have compassion even for that part of you that's not able to be loving? Then there's space. You can spend your entire life trying to fix yourself, heal yourself, perfect yourself. and it's great to explore and bring healing, obviously. But just know this. If you're trying to perfect your personality, it's not really possible, because at the level of the 3D, at the level of the physical, at the level of the personality, there's no real perfection. There's no real perfection. We all have our stuff, our tweaks, our issues, our unique kinks, our unique, wounds, our stuff as personalities. But the real perfection exists at the level of your being, at the core of your soul, which is who you really are. The patterns, the behaviors, the ways of being, none of that's who you truly are. It's ways that perhaps you've learned to be, to survive, to avoid pain, to avoid hurt, to fit in, to be loved, to be approved, ultimately to survive. But underneath there is a pure essence that is untouched. There is a pure essence that is unconditioned. There is a pure essence of who you truly are. That is love itself. That is perfect. And at that level, no matter who you're being, what you're going through, what you're doing right now, just know that who you are is perfect. And nothing and no one can take that away from you. I love you, sending you big hugs, love now. Keep loving yourselves. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of transformation. Love now.